So we are continuing from the mimer on page Tes Vav.
Recording in progress.
Line 16 in the second paragraph. And we spoke about how in Ahava there is twice, it says the word, the numerical equivalent of Ahava is twice Oir, because there's the level of Oir Chayzer and Oir Yasher. Oir, we identified initially, is about revelation to another. Since it's revelation to another, therefore it's the idea of goodness and kindness. It's an idea of Ahava, because what motivates goodness and kindness is a person's love for Hashem and or love for whoever he's doing goodness and kindness to. And since Oir is about the revelation and giving to someone else, so therefore, in the same manner, Oir has to do with love. But the fact that love, the Hafta, is begematria twice Oir, that means because it's going on Oir Chayzer and Oir Yasher. And we were speaking about that the Oir Chayzer, that comes when a person thinks into Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, that the Eibishter is one and beyond all the worlds, and only through Havaya Elokeinu, Havaya is all the tzimtzumim that it comes down to this world. So therefore, all the worlds are insignificant in comparison to Hashem. Because of that, we have an Oir Chayzer, we have a love in a way of, we are yearning to connect to Hashem. We are have a Ratzui, we want to go out of ourselves, go out of our environment, and connect to Hashem above. And then there's the level of Oir Yasher. Oir Yasher is an alternate explanation of V'ahavta. V'ahavta means Shehei Shem Shamayim Misahev Al Yodcha. And we explained what's the level of Shem Shamayim, the name of Shamayim. So we said Shem Shamayim goes on the level of Malchus, or even the Kalim of the spheres, or even the Oiris of the spheres are called the name of Hashem. And through our avoid of tzedakah, so we cause that the Oir Yasher should come down, that there should be a Toisvis Oir coming down, because by Hashem's bringing down Oiris into our world and into all the Seder Shtalshlos, that is a tzedakah of the Eibishter. In a similar vein, when we do tzedakah, we're ma'ir by Hashem tzedakah. So that's the level of Oir Yasher versus Oir Chayzer. So now we're going to come back to the question that we asked initially in this particular part of the Maimer, that we asked, since Oir is called Oir only because it's a level of revelation, if it's a level of revelation, that means it has to come down. And if it's above and out of this world, we call it Choshech. That's why Bria, which was higher, was called darkness. So how can Oir Chayzer, which is a rebounding light, which is an idea of a light that is about seemingly going out of this world, how do we call it Oir? So now he's going to, based on what we just now explained about Oir Chayzer and Oir Yasher, he's going to explain now this answer to that question. Again, page Tes Vav, line 16. With this will be understood why V'ahavta, it says it's twice the numerical equivalent of Oir, Oir Yasher, Oir Chayzer, Shagam Oir Chayzer, She'oila L'mayla Nikra B'Shem Oir. Even the rebounding light that goes up, it's still called Oir. So here is the core why it is. The closer something is to the essence, the darker it is, because it's beyond our comprehension. The further something is from the essence, the more it's possible to illuminate us, the more we can comprehend it, etc. That is going to be the principal answer over here. So he says, Shagam Oir She'inyan Oir, that the level of Oir is being distant from the essence. That's the idea. We said that Oir is a ha'ara, a ray that is not anything like the essence, and it comes out outside of the essence, with the essence remaining hidden, and it just becomes revealed outside of the essence. Therefore, even the Oir Chayzer is something that's outside and distant from the essence, as he's going to explain. Line 19. The idea behind this is the idea of the drawing upwards and the yearning to become part of above and subsumed above. That's not an expression of the essence of the soul. And it's also not a result of the nefesh being in a state of bittul, as we'll soon explain. The fact that I have a yearning to become part of Hashem, that only is a result of the hispashtus, the expansion of my soul. The reason for this is when I yearn, desire something, that yearning, that desire means I have a purpose. There is something that I desire. That is not completely selfless. That means we're talking about something other than the essence. Even the love that we proclaim, and the famous statement of the Alter Rebbe, I don't want the who is for me in heaven, and with you I don't want. In other words, anything secondary to the Eibishter, I'm not interested in. I'm interested in you alone. But that itself, even that interest, yesh bazeh ezem avukash. There is some type of desire for something. There's some type of thing that is being looked for. That love is in a way of feeling, that he is aware of something that he wants, therefore his ego comes to the fore. Yesh misha'ayev, this is the very famous thing, that there is someone that loves. Shizel mitzad, top of the page Dazai, is pashtus on nefesh. This comes as a result of the expansion of the soul. Shehi mitzad arichuk dafke. That is specifically a result of distance. How do I desire something else? Because me and that something else is far. And the further it is, the more the desire is, and so on. So therefore, if it is richuk, so then the idea of oir applies. Because we said before, oir is about not being the essence, being outside of the essence. Similarly, he says, Gama is bonus shemevias ava, also the meditation that brings about the love. Who is bonus berichuk balakus? It's meditating on the distance of how far I am from godliness. How the general Seder Ishtalshus is distant from godliness, like we said before. Echad means ve'ein kamoyu ba'olam. There's no one like him in the world, because Malchus Dein Sof is Ahara, and everything that comes afterwards from Malchus Dein Sof goes through Simsim Rishon and the Kav and the Cyrus until we get to Seder Ishtalshus. So that shows all how far it is from him. Because he feels how distant he is, he's aware, he understands how distant he is, therefore he's inspired with a will to become part of Elikus. This is only in the expansion of godliness. That's why it's called light, because it's distant from Hashem's essence. So now this is the explanation why Oir Chayzer, even though it's about going upwards, it's still an experience of being far from the essence. And since it's an experience of being far from the essence, and it comes as a result of his bonus that's far from the essence, therefore it's called a Oir Ha'ara, because there's that distance. Then the Rebbe goes on, line 7, V'hinei, Kishem Sha'avad Oir Chayzer Nikr B'Shem Oir. Just like the love of the Oir Chayzer, the rebounding love, is something that's called Oir because it comes out of a result of the distance. So to the love of the direct light, that he wants to fill the Shem Shamayim, he wants to make the levels of the spheres and the oiris and the kalim and malchus. He wants to fill it with additional light. He wants to bring the love and revelation of godliness into that. Or Yosher coming down from above to below. So that's also because he meditates in how far the malchus, the kalim, the oiris are from Hashem. When he thinks into the fact how the general say that is no way of being far and distant, then he's inspired and awakened in the love of the direct light. That he wants to draw down godliness into the chain order of descent. This means contrast that. When he's in a state of closeness, if he's in a place where the essence is found, so the idea of saying that you need to draw something down doesn't apply. You're close. Saying that you need to have you need to have the straight light, you need to have amshacha from above to below, that only applies when there's a distance. It's only by an extension and an expansion of godliness. When Imtza comes out Sheklolis, and the general idea of love, whether it's the love of the direct light or the love of the rebounding light, is both has to do with distance from the essence. It's only an expansion and extension. And therefore it's called the level of oir. Okay, Ois Dalet. Now we're going to contrast that with the idea of Yira. Yira is just the opposite. Yira, or fear, that is a result, especially what he's focused on primarily over here, which is Yira Ilah, the higher level of awe and fear. That is primarily a result of closeness. The idea of awe and fear of Hashem, that's a result not of distance, but of closeness. How does he? So we explained the meditation that brought about love. What's the meditation that brings about awe? And that meditation expresses the closeness. By meditating on the fact that it says in the pasuk that the heavens and the earth I fill. First of all, what do we see from here? It's not like it says in other places, or something else, but he joins heaven and earth, meaning his relationship to Seder Ishtalshlus, to the heavenly levels, the supernal worlds, is the same when we're dealing with the level that we're referring to now as with the earth. And wherever it is, whether it's the spiritual heavens, whether it's the earth, it's all I fill. All over, there's the entire I of Hashem. Not the Ray, not the Spashtus, not the Ha'ara, not the Oir. It's Hashem's very being, Hashem's very essence. That is from the perspective of Hashem's essence. Because when you look from the perspective of the revelations of godliness, the light that fills the world, that's enclosed in the vessels, there are divisions, there are differentiations. There's a difference the way the oir is not silist and the way that the oir is in bria, etc., the way it's in chokhmah versus in malchus. As opposed from the perspective of Hashem's very essence, it's both in the heavens and the earth equally. Because of this meditation, top of page Yud Zayin, this awareness that everywhere Hashem is there in his entire being and essence, it's not something that brings him, so therefore I want. No, it's just the opposite. He draws back. He's overwhelmed. He's in a state of awe and fear. It's not that he desires, therefore I want. There's no I want. There's no mevukish over here. But just the opposite. Not only doesn't he have a desire, a want, a goal, but tipal of aim of a facha that falls upon him, a fear and a trembling fear, in a manner of nullification and complete lack of existence. He completely loses himself. The yirazut, this type of awe, this type of fear, it's beyond and above love. Though love is in expansion, and awe is a state of nullification, still in all. Love is a result of the distance that comes because of the levels of revelation. As opposed to awe is a result of closeness, that Hashem's essence is close to me. So one has to do with Oir, which is revelation, and one has to do with Hashem's very essence. So therefore it's understood how Yira, how awe is higher than love. That's the idea that's brought down in Chassidus and Kabbalah, of the awe that's higher than the love. Which awe is higher than the love? That's the higher level of awe. That's the awe that is after we have attained the different levels of love. That's higher than love. This is also the awe and fear that will be when Mashiach comes. That because the powerful revelation of godliness will be when Mashiach comes. Like it says, they will come into the cracks in the rocks and cliffs. People will hide over there. In other words, they will look for a hole where to hide in, because of the fear and being scared of Hashem. What's that fear from? From the awesome revelation of Hashem's essence. And the Rebbe is going to connect this. This is the difference between Avram and Yitzchak, and this also fits in with our parsha. Eila toldus Yitzchak ben Avram, Avram holdus Yitzchak. So we have this correlation of Yitzchak and Avram. First it says Yitzchak and then Avram, and then it says Avram and then Yitzchak. We know the Rebbe brings down that means that there's the Yitzchak that precedes Avram, the Yira that precedes Ahava, then there's the Ahava that precedes the Yira, depending which level of Yira. So now he goes and explains this is the general difference in Yitzchak and Avram. Line 13. This is also the general difference between the avoid of Avram and avoid of Yitzchak. The avoid of Avram, the avoid of Avram wasn't drawing down kindness. First of all, physical, material kindness through bringing in guests that he would feed and give them to drink, everyone, even to Arabs. And also he gave spiritual kindness through revealing and making well known that Hashem's godliness in the world. That he said, he demanded of his guests to thank and bench Hashem, to who you ate from his food. In the way Avraham Avinu manifested the level of chesed, in other words, the drawing down godliness, revealing godliness, chesed ruchni. So there's different ways that Chassidus brings down. There's Vayikra Avram. Avram called, which is about a hamshacha of Elikus, but over there it was Avram without the letter Hey. Then there's Vayikra Avraham, and then there's Avram with a Hey, calling down godliness. Al Tikra Vayikra El Vayakri, and even more so, do not read it as Vayikra, but Vayakri, he made others call. These are all different levels of bringing down godliness. And in general, the different levels, he doesn't go into the details over here, but the different levels of manifesting and the chesed and the ava that Avraham Avinu brought down godliness into the world, in general, fits into the two levels of love that we spoke about before. In these different expressions about Avraham calling out and making others call out is included the types of love of the straight light of drawing godliness down here, and the rebounding light bringing godliness or the love upwards. Avol klolos avodas shel Avram he avodah Av, but the general avodah of Avram is the avodah of love. It comes because a result of the distance that comes out of revelations. Meaning that because there's a distance, therefore you got to bring godliness down here. You got to have the Arabs called to the Eibishter, etc., etc. It's all a matter of distance, like we spoke about before about love and Av. Amnam avodah shel Yitzchak avodah shel Yira, but the avodah of Yitzchak is the avodah of awe. Like it says, "Upachad Yitzchak," the fear of Yitzchak. Shu inyan habitol, it's the idea of bitol, top of page Yudches. Shemetzada atzmus, this bittul that comes as a result of Hashem's essence. In other words, because he's in close proximity with Hashem, so he's completely bottled. Since the essence is beyond revelation, and like we said before, any level that's beyond revelation, we call it darkness, even though it's higher than the light. Therefore, Yitzchak's avodah is also called darkness. So the Rebbe brings an amazing Zohar, which is, without learning this Maimer, it's obviously difficult to understand. Like it says, that Hashem called the light day, and he called the darkness, he called night. The Chachamim said, this is a Zohar, who is the light? What is this light that he called? That's calling on Avram Avinu. And what is this darkness that I called Yitzchak? This is Yitzchak. How do you call Yitzchak darkness? What does that mean? So, based on what we learned in this Maimer, it's understood. The Kim Shavidas Shal Yitzchak, he avoided the Yirish, Mitzada Atzma, since the avoid of Yitzchak is the avoid of all. That's a result of Hashem's essence. Therefore, it's called darkness. And yet, despite the fact that it's called darkness, this darkness is higher than the level of light. Now, like we said before, from the essence, what's from the essence perspective is called light and revelation, but from the perspective of down here below, when they look at that powerful revelation, that's too much for them. They look at it as darkness. So now we can get back to the original topic that the Maimer began, which is the significance of Erev Rosh Chodesh and Rosh Chodesh, the moon becoming smaller, or moon being a point, and beforehand there's no moon whatsoever. So it says in line 17, with this will also be understood the idea of the day before Rosh Chodesh and Rosh Chodesh. Keep Rosh Chodesh, Alavani, Kinikudabal Avad on Rosh Chodesh, the moon is only at its most smallest point. And the day before Rosh Chodesh, it's completely concealed, it's completely dark. This Erev Rosh Chodesh is not a chesaron, it's not a deficiency. The moon is dark. Just the opposite. It's like the chayshach that we've been talking about all this time now, that there's darkness that is higher than revelation. So the darkness of Erev Rosh Chodesh, the fact that the moon is gone on Erev Rosh Chodesh, is the darkness that's higher than revelation. Because the concealment is because of the closeness. And he says also, physically, in Kasha Alavone, when the moon is close to the sun, then it's darkened and concealed. What is the analogy for this in something in our world that we can appreciate? It's like a student sitting before his teacher. When the student is found in the presence of his teacher, then the light of his intellect is concealed. How come? He's busy on learning, but the learning is not in type of way where he's spinning his wheels then. He's got to be in a calm receiving state. Like it says in the halachas of Yeridei, the idea, the Torah, Lemivlo loy polit. In Yeridei it speaks about that when something is absorbing, it doesn't give forth. It has halachic implications about something making something else treif. So if it's busy absorbing, it's not, at the very same time, it's not giving out. So the same thing spiritually, when the student is busy absorbing, he's not functioning in turning and spinning his wheels, and he shouldn't be functioning then in turning and spinning his wheels of intellect. Not only is the student not giving anything to anybody else, he's not sharing his ideas with anyone else, even in his own mind, his intellect, his brain is now in a state of like just receiving, not working out the details. The light of his intellect is now concealed. That's the idea of darkness. He is now in a state of darkness because he's not letting his mind work. This is brought down from Amar Chassidus, that when you have a Talmud and a Rav, a student and a teacher, there's incomparable distance between them, so then he cannot, at the same time that he's listening to the Rav, he cannot be thinking, okay, let me figure this out, let's see how this fits in with that and this and what I learned before. No. For a student that's incomparably of a different level than the teacher, he needs to silence his mind and be completely in a state of becoming a keli. Afterwards, once he took it in, then once the Rav stops, then he can go ahead and start using his brain, and he should go ahead and using his brain to analyze this. But it's dark. So he says in line 23, so too, when the moon is close to the sun, then it becomes concealed and darkened. And that's what it says in the pasuk in Shir Hashirim, that the Yidden say, do not see me that I am black or dark, because the sun made me black or made me dark, and gave me a strong tan and so on. So he says a very interesting thing. We know the sun goes on the sun of Shem Yud Kei Vavkei. Yud Kei Vavkei is B'chinas Zeir Anpin. That's the level of the Sfiras of Atzilus, the Midas of Atzilus. The Knesset Yisrael, Nimshol Levon, the Yidden and Malchus, that's the source of all the neshamas of the Yidden. That's likened to the moon. Yisrael Moinim Levon, and the Yidden follow and count according to the moon. Now the moon is Shiva Katnas. The moon is in the state of being minor and small. That the Yisrael is saying, do not see me that I am dark. Over there, they're not talking about a negative thing of darkness. Just the opposite. Shachrus, the darkness or blackness, himaila. It's an quality, like the darkness that's higher than light because he's close to the essence. Because he's close to the son of Havai. That's what it means. I became tanned, I became burnt or blackened by the sun because I'm in such close proximity to the sun. Now I'm black, now I'm dark, now I am the moon, like it is on Erev Reish Chodesh, and Reish Chodesh, where there's no light practically coming out. So he says in line 29, V'zoi miles Erev Reish Chodesh v'Reish Chodesh. That's the advantage of the day before Reish Chodesh and Reish Chodesh. Ki b'Reish Chodesh halavani kin kudabel vad. On Reish Chodesh, the moon is only like a point. U'be'erev Reish Chodesh, he behelam legamri tapafed yutes. And Erev Reish Chodesh is completely concealed. Shazel mitzad akiruv dafke. That's specifically because of the closeness, like we said before, of the moon to the sun. Because in the first half of the month, that we said in the beginning of the Maimer, the first half of the month, the moon increases in its visibility more and more. Mizgalis halavana, the moon becomes revealed mitzad richuka ma'ashemish, because of how distant it is from the sun. Like the student, that once he leaves the presence of his Rav, then he examines and then he goes into depth into the idea. The same thing, the moon, when it's distant from the sun, it becomes more and more visible. But on the day before Reish Chodesh and Reish Chodesh, it's concealed being that it's very close to the sun.